Welcome to the Glenfield lads video of light-hearted madness. All of these memories occurred sometime between 1994, perhaps going up to around 2004 in Glenfield, Leicester, UK. So grab yourself a drink and some snacks, sit back and relax as we go down memory lane. Let's go.
Good afternoon, boys. I have a tale for you. Now forgive me, because a lot of these tales over the years have jaded. They might be slightly untrue, they might be the wrong person. But I remember we used to bike around the pavilion, just around the front bit, on push bikes. And then a couple of people would try smashing golf balls at us. I remember every so often hearing a ting and a thud, and then the yells of pain, usually from a benner, after them taking a golf ball to the scrotum or to the guts, and then seeing them on the floor crying and twisting about. Very much.
Well, to see Juggers fall backwards off his chair and crash into them big screens at the back of the sacrament hall, right in the middle of someone's talk, and everybody turns around to see what the big commotion is, and he's just lying there on the floor laughing his head off. Oh, that was absolutely classic.
So my story is the time where, and apologies in advance, because I think most of the times people got injured, it was my ideas for a stupid game. The game was to smack the football as hard as you could, and then if you didn't header it on the way down, then you were a puff. So I said, I think we all had a go. I think a few of us headed it, a few of us chickened out. I might have chickened out. It came to Jazz's go. Someone wellied the ball. Someone did. Wellied the ball as high as they could towards Jazz. Jazz did a full-on Linford Christie sprint to the ball. Dived, full horizontal dive. Must have been a good metre off the floor. And the ball skimmed the front of his fringe on the way down, bounced off the floor and pinged him right in the face. And the slap was horrific. And that killed me. That was the best story ever.
Oh, so another memory, lads. I think it was me, Aaron, Jazz and Eddie, and we all had a big bike ride to Braggett Park, and it was tipping it down with rain that day. We went to the top of a hill at Braggett Park, you know, a big grassy slope, right? And we had the stupid idea that it'd be good to kind of cycle down the slope as fast as we could in the rain. And so all four of us went cycling down this hill. It wasn't too steep, you know, it was a nice incline. And we all went slipping and sliding and falling off our bikes and just went flying all over the place. And then we were laughing our heads off, and I can't believe we didn't get seriously injured or anything. That's a great memory, I love that one. Here comes Jeanette with a turkey neck.
Dunk. For some reason, I can remember, you know those old electric muscle builder machines? For some reason, I remember you let us put it on your bum cheek, and we turned it up full blast. You had a right spasm. Might have been your bicep. Don't know.
Yeah, bum cheek or bicep? I think it probably started with my bicep, naturally, because back in the day I had quite good sized biceps, unlike now. But I think it may have well stuck it on my bum cheek, and then it spasmed up so bad that I couldn't walk properly for a while afterwards. And that was in your bedroom in your house, wasn't it, if I remember correctly?
Right, does anyone remember when Gaz spent weeks turning a piece of chalk into some smints? And then one day after church, I'm sure he gave one to Ruben, and Ruben put it in his mouth, and he looked like he was about to die. That was classic.
Right, okay, so here it is, the classic golf ball incident on Weston Park. I'll never forget that moment. So me and Dunk outside the Sanderson's house decided to line up a few balls and just try and hit it as high as we could. trying to avoid the houses. So I took my shot and oh god. So I took a big swing at it, and what happened? Went straight towards the houses, over the trees, and we both looked at each other and we were like, oh. And then we heard the noise and then was like, okay. I turned around and Dunk was bombing it across the field, so I just dropped my club ran as fast as I could across the field, and I just couldn't stop laughing, couldn't breathe because we were trying to run across this field as fast as we could, and we were just both hysterically laughing. Yeah, it was just such a classic moment. I'll never forget that. So yeah.
All right. Well, I'd just like to add my version of that golfing incident as well, because it was such a classic. And it's a shame that there's only two of us involved, me and Eddie. But here it goes. So we were on Weston Park, and it was not far from the Sandersons' house. And me and Eddie, I guess we were just hitting balls. And I guess Aaron and Jazz and Ben weren't available for whatever reason. They weren't free. But it was me and Ed. We were just practicing hitting balls though with our cheap driver clubs. And we were hitting them like from the Sandersons' house down the field, and then hitting them back up the field towards the Sandersons' house. And so we were on the way where we were hitting it back up the field. And it was Eddie's turn to hit, so I was standing just behind him. And I was looking at the distance. I was thinking, we are a bit close to them houses, you know. Should be all right. And then Eddie was just standing there, 4 or 5 seconds, he was just getting set. And as he was setting himself, I could see he's going to hit this. I mean, he's going to really hit it. And then he took this big, huge swing, and the ball went flying through the air. I'm thinking to myself, we're in trouble here. And the ball went flying, like Eddie said, the ball went just flying right across the field, easily cleared the trees, and it's going straight to the houses. And then we just heard this, like this noise, this sound. And Eddie turned round, and I was just like, we were laughing our heads off. And we were just legging it. We just legged it right down the field the other way, away from the houses. Like, we got to get as far away as we can from this. And we were just laughing so hard, and like as they can't breathe, and laughing and scared a bit as well as what might have happened. And we just legged it. And then the next day we went to see the house, and there was a hole in the front of the house where the ball hit it. And then about a week later, it was taped up. So that was absolutely hilarious. Brilliant experience. Can never forget it. And I'll never get tired of talking about it.
A lot of the memories I have were based around petty vandalism. Now I remember us all being stood outside the chapel, for some reason with penny sweets or the tub of pick and mix, and someone threw something at a car passing by, and the car stopped. So we all scattered, obviously. Now this is where one of the stories is jaded, but I remember my part of the story. I hammered it down Henley Road, straight on, into like a little set of garages. And there I hid behind a car, bike laid on the floor, and the car pulled in. So I panicked, so flipping heck, it's him. Flipping heck, it's the driver. Just as my phone ringed. Now this was an old school ringtone, so I want Duncan to give us an example of the old Nokias or Motorola brick phones or something like that. But yeah, that's one of it. I also remember, for some reason at Young Men's we made salt dough or some plasticine. Then walking back up Glenfield Road, the house on the corner before Bishop Ellis Mental School, someone lobbed a big bit of salt dough at that. Cheers.
Just going back to the old salt dough, I can remember when we were throwing it about, we were spitting in it, so it's got like really sticky. It's like proper horrible in the end. And then I can remember someone launched it, it's just splattered on someone's window.
Yeah, all right, the memories are coming flooding back now. Yeah, Jazz was talking about lobbing stuff at cars. Well, we also like to grab the small little berries off the trees. You remember that one, lads? Usually on Wednesday nights when we had Young Men's, we'd be walking home together, wouldn't we? Or slowly cycling home together. I think it was me and all the Bayliss boys, right? And Liam, because we all lived in that same direction. So we used to get all these berries off the trees or from the floor that were falling off the tree, right? And we used to throw them at house windows on the way home. Real clever, weren't we, them days? And I remember, and I was with Gaz as well. Yeah, Gaz was with me too. It was me and Gaz and the three Bayliss boys, I think. And we lobbed a berry at this one window, and a man came running out the house. And the Bayliss boys, Aaron, Jazz and Ben, they went pegging it on their bikes down Letchworth Road, and they were gone out of sight within seconds. And me and Gaz were still there. We hadn't even got going yet, and the man caught up with us. And we were just absolutely bobbed our pants. We didn't know what to say. We blamed it on our friends. We blamed it on Aaron, Jazz and Ben. It was them, they've gone. Don't know where they are. And eventually, I said to him, because we were still young and I was scared, I said, look, it's 9:30, it's late, and my mum's going to be expecting us, we need to go home. And I think reluctantly he let us go, but we felt so bad after that one. All right, lads, this is another one that involves throwing stuff at people or objects or things. So me and the Bayliss boys and Liam, we used to walk home every Wednesday night after Young Men's, didn't we? Back up Glenfield Road. When you get just near the big roundabout between Glenfield Road and Dominion Road, there's that school or college on the right, isn't there, as we're walking back home from the church. And then there's a road that just turns right, and I think when you go up that road it comes to a leisure centre or something. So we were just like getting ready to cross that road, and had some berries in my hand because we were throwing berries around. And there was this chap on his bicycle, and he was coming down that road and turning into Glenfield Road, going towards the roundabout. And just as he was turning onto the main road in that nice little arc, I kind of threw a berry, threw it, and it kind of went right through the air as he was turning and landed right on his head. It was like the most perfect shot ever. And I just remember we quickly just kind of turned around and then just walked in a hurry up this side road. And then I think he was just looking around, didn't know what happened to him. It was the perfect shot, right on his head. Boom. We were so daring back in them days, weren't we, lads? Oh yeah, there was another one. We was around Liam's house on New Year's Eve. I think it was New Year's Eve, and it must have been 2004, because I was just back from my mission. New Year's Eve 2004, and we all decided, there must have been loads of us. I think all of us, Juggers, everyone, right? And some of the girls, Fiona, maybe Natalie as well, I can't remember. But there was a big group of us, and we just decided to go walking around the streets at night, and we must have been throwing berries at people's windows again. And so this bloke came out his house and started chasing us down the street. Remember that? And then half of us ran left. No, I think all of us ran right, and then Justin decided to go left, didn't it? So the guy chased Justin and pinned him up against the fence, didn't it? And Juggers was just standing there, just laughing in his face. Do you remember that? We were thinking, Juggers, just stop laughing. And there he was, laughing away. Oh my goodness. Do you remember that, guys? That was hilarious.
All right, lads. Who remembers in the fridge in the kitchen at church, there was a whole carton of Tropicana, about half gone, and I can't remember who was there, but I can remember there was some Doritos salsa in there as well. I ended up pouring that in there, and then Dave Harding came in about an hour later when we were in Sunday school, and necked half of it apparently. And, Justin got the blame. It was so funny. So funny.
Oh man, that sleepover we had at my house when my family had gone on holiday, that was one of the best nights ever. That was so funny. And of course we made that tape, didn't we? The tape that's now gone missing, that we can't find. We did some crazy stuff on there. We had that Jamie kid with us, didn't we? And he was going crazy on the tape and all. Jared came out with a load of funny stuff. I'll try and have to remember that. And then we went out for a walk at like 2 a.m, didn't we? All around Glenfield, throwing more berries at houses and everything. And that's right. In the morning, I discovered fish fingers under my fridge. So it's a good job I found them before my family came back home. So thanks a lot, whoever did that. All right, I don't know if Jared will remember this one, but this was during the sleepover around my house that time. And you know, we were making that tape, weren't we, recording ourselves and coming out with all this silly stuff. Well, Jazz suddenly started singing this, and it went exactly like this. I remember it. Give it to me, baby. Aha, aha. Give it to me, baby. Aha, aha. Give it to me, baby. Aha, aha. And all the girlies say I'm pretty sweaty for a packy. Do you remember singing that, Jazz? I remember it just like it was yesterday. Hilarious.
Dunk's favourite noise.
Oh, testicles. Oh, Betty.
Lads, I've just absolutely remember the best thing ever, right? Can anyone remember Olive Attenborough? She went up to walk, to, I don't know, give a testimony or something, and she's buckled. She's gone absolutely flying. She was dead frail, weren't she? And then she's turned around and pointed at my dad and said, "You did it! You did that!" Dad's like legged over a flipping 100-year-old girl. She about died about a week later, I think. Buckled.
Well, if we're talking about sacrament meetings, the one I'll never forget, because we as lads all used to sit along the back, didn't we, on the chairs? And then there was one time, Kim Kearney, she used to sit like, as we're looking at it from sitting at the back, she was on the right hand side at those short pews, weren't she? So this one time she got up and she started walking to the back as like she wanted to go out to the toilet or something. And then suddenly out of nowhere, Jazz just suddenly says, "Here comes Kim, fat and obese." And we all just absolutely started cracking up along the back there. Ridiculous, that was. All right, lads. So this one, classic memory, just came into my head. I think it was bonfire night. And I think it was me, Aaron, Jazz. Oh, who else? Maybe Eddie. Not sure. But I remember we came up with this bright idea that it would be a good idea to go and steal people's wheelie bins. And the long road that leads down to the Sandersons, there's a number of roads that go off it, right? One of them leads through to the Bayliss's house. But a bit further up the road, there was like this little cul-de-sac. And that's what we targeted. And we all, each of us decided that we're going to take one house each. And we're going to go down the side of the house and steal the wheelie bin. And I got mine. I think Aaron got his. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Jazz. And while he was taking this wheelie bin, an old chap opened his front door and stood there. And it's like he was so shocked, he didn't know what to do. He couldn't say anything. And as the old chap was standing there watching, I think it was Jazz. He was just running off with his wheelie bin, took it from the side of his house, and then all three of us, or four of us, however many, just running off down the road with these wheelie bins, making all this noise with the bins. And I think we went back to Weston Park down the road and threw them on the bonfire. That was an absolute classic. I will never forget the look on that old chap's face. It was absolutely priceless.
Right, I've got another one. So, and this one was in seminary, I think, when we did it at the chapel. So there was about 10 of us at the time, I think. We were all downstairs in one of the primary rooms. And I think there was about 10 of us in the room. And Ben, me, Justin, I think, maybe Liam. There was one particular week we were just messing around and we just sat at the back and we were just pretending to fart and stuff. But we always used to time it at the right moment, like when it went really quiet. So it'd be like when somebody's reading a verse out of a chapter or something, and it'll be like chapter 1. And yeah, it was hilarious. And we just kept doing it for the whole week, and then at the end of the week, Jolien was like getting wound up by it, and he got really angry at everyone, and he started shouting at Ben like, "Ben, pack it in!" And I think he even swore actually as well. Yeah, it was just brilliant. It was so funny. I remember that week.
Dunk. The best ones are when you used to get mad at tennis. You used to like just go out or something. You go, "Muppet!" and then you just storm up. Stupid man.
Muppet! That's something I used to shout when I was getting angry playing tennis. Aaron loved that.
Good afternoon all. Alright, the aerosols incident. We should talk a bit about the history. Every so often we'd get an aerosol can and spray it and light it, or put one on a bonfire, I think. So we had an idea of collecting all old aerosols and making a bomb. So I think we had loads of empty ones. We nicked loads off our mum and dad's. We bought cheap, crappy Axe ones, the fake links. I remember the pride in turning up with a shoebox full of aerosol cans, and that's my part. Anyway, I remember we were behind the train track, behind the BMX track, down the little cliff on the train track where the cave was. There were people turning up with methylated spirits, white spirit bottles, I think, and we shoved everything in this little cave. Then I suppose we built some little kindling around. I remember the sun was setting. It was a beautiful evening, dusky kind of weather. There were people on the train, people on the BMX track. It was quite a nice evening, and then we lit the kindling and had a little giggle to ourselves. Stepped back as we did, like cautiously watched from a distance. I think it was burning longer than we thought. We thought at one point there was nothing happening. Then all of a sudden, pop, pop, pop. Seeing the flames and the smoke coming out, but then it was even more dusky now. It was twilight. There were aerosols shooting out like Roman candles, poof, 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 and smoke billowing out, and poof, poof, poof. And then I remember a fire engine or police car going up Hinkley Road, and then we all just scattered and watched it from even more of a distance. I think that's it, boys.
Kim wipes a bum with a stick. Right, lads, another really fun memory was in 2004. I was just back from my mission, and it was Young Men's Night, and I went down really early to the chapel to set up an obstacle course. I think you were all there. Anyway, there's going to be pictures popping up on the screen. So we did this obstacle course. It was absolutely brilliant. Everyone was knackered doing it though. I was absolutely knackered after sprinting around the obstacle course. Juggers, I think he was absolutely knackered. And then there was this really fat kid, can't remember who he was. He was about coughing his guts up after doing that. And then we had Matthew Cotton there and all the lads, Steve Pryor were there. And we just had a really, really fun time doing the obstacle course for a Young Men's Night. It was absolutely brilliant. Oh, well, lads, there was one Young Men's Camp and that was the best ever. I don't know what year it was, but we had so much stuff going on. Let's see. We had Jono pole dancing in the tent late at night. That was hilarious. Good old Jono. And then we had, I think it was Eric Dutton, pulled Jazz out of the tent in his sleeping bag early in the morning. And Jazz really weren't happy about that. And I remember we stayed up till like 3 or 4 a.m. one night and we did all this kind of stuff. I remember we were like running blind across this field. It was kind of an up and down field, and I just remember that Jazz was running. He didn't see a ditch. There was a big ditch, and Jazz just went face first into the ditch. That was hilarious. I think there was Andy Wade was sleeping in his car or something. It was like 2 a.m. in the morning. And so we all went and started knocking on his window and then running away at 2 a.m. in the morning. Then one other field just beside where we were, there were all these hay bales. We went hay bale riding. That was classic. And I think there were cows in the field as well. And then we kind of bobbed it because we were scared if the cows might charge us or something. So that didn't last very long. Oh, man. And then in the middle of the night, we went into the other ward, the other lads' tent in a different ward, and put toothpaste all over their eyebrows. They woke up in the morning with all the toothpaste up their eyebrows. That was so funny. That was a fantastic camp. Yeah, about Jono. He was clumsy, wasn't he? Because his legs were kind of like bending inwards at the wrong angle, weren't they? And he was walking all funny and like he's tripping over himself and stuff. So yeah, I think Aaron mentioned earlier, innit? One of these young men camps, he fell out the blooming tree, didn't he? He fell out the tree, landed quite heavy on the floor, about broke his back, and we were quite worried about him. But then he started doing this, how can I do it? If you can see me. He was like on the floor like this and started going round and round and round and round and round on the floor like that. I don't know. weirdo. And that was weird, wasn't it? We thought he broke his back and, I don't know. But it turned out to be alright, so that was good.
I remember that Jono up the tree one differently. There was a drum with a rope attached going over a branch. And part of the obstacle course was you had to pull it up the branch or something rubbish. But we got Jono to sit on it, hoisted him up the tree, and then decided to let go. Bang, down he goes on his coccyx. I think, like you said, Dunk, he was curled up, scribbling around the floor. I'm sure he was frothing at the mouth, all that stuff.
Oh, well, this memory is a real personal one because it's all about me. And this happened, I'm sure you guys, I think most of you remember this one. This was during Young Men's Camp. And a few of us, maybe 3 or 4 of us, we were just under the trees. In this area with lots of trees, and we were just under the trees. And we decided it'd be a good idea to throw these, what are they called? Pine cones, right? These pine cones at each other. So there were 2 of us on one side, 2 of us a bit further away or down the other side. And we're just throwing these pine cones at each other because, you know, they're very light and they're harmless, isn't it? Just for fun. So I was bending down, to pick up the pine cone. And as soon as I was getting up, I just felt this massive smack on my head. And it really hurt. So my first reaction is, you know, put my hand there, right? So when I took my hand away, I noticed it was covered in blood. That bloody willy rash. You used to call him willy rash, right? Will Rankin. That willy rash, I picked up a bleeding branch and threw it at me. Hit me right on the head. So, pouring with blood everywhere. I had to bandage it up as best we could. And I think it was that little Johnny Ford, if you remember him. I think it was him who drove me to the nearest hospital. And Willie Rash was in the car with me because he felt absolutely terrible. And I had to go there, get some anaesthetic, get stitches, and then come back. And if you can see, I've still got a crescent-shaped scar where it hit me. Look at this. Can you see that? Just above my eyebrow. Yeah, permanent reminder. My goodness.
All right, lads. It's another one. From stake volleyball. I cannot remember who was there. But can you remember when we used to like serve and then say something stupid like, oh, I don't know, Kim Carney or something, and it got a bit more extreme, and then I took it one step further, and I think like as I've said it, like a couple of the like state leaders were there, and I've gone, oh, clit, and smashed it straight into the net.
Guys, remember Nancy Ruston? She used to come to church back in the day when we were all young. I mean, bless her, she's lovely and that, but I remember we used to say, oh, here comes Nancy with a rusty bumhole. Oh, yeah, this was a classic. I can't remember who was it. I think it was me, Aaron, Jazz, Eddie, maybe Liam, maybe Ben and all, I'm not sure. But anyway, you know, right at the other end of Weston Park, there's that thing called the Eco House or something, right? Remember that? And there was this one day we were just going around just doing nothing. And we found this old rug, like a big carpet in one of the skips near this Eco House thing. And we just grabbed it and we took it up onto Weston Park, and there was this little area where there was like a circle of trees just in the middle of the field. And we took the carpet in the middle of them trees, and knowing us with our lighters and everything, we set it on fire, didn't we? Ridiculous. And then the trees also set on fire, and it was getting pretty big and out of control. So we started thinking we better get out of it. And as we got ready to run away, well, we were all on our bikes, so we started cycling away up the road. And as we were cycling up the road, kind of half scared, half laughing our heads off, we saw a couple of fire engines coming back down the opposite way. Went right past us as we were cycling back up on the way home. And I remember just feeling that mixture of like bobbing pants, and then found it so funny and laughing and all. That was a pretty bad thing there, but a great memory.
And another thing was we went to the London Temple to do some baptisms, and that Laura, is it Laura Goodwin? I can't remember her name, the big girl. Mick Howards said to us, says, "Are you allowed cranes in the font?"
Right, and lads, who remembers good old Stephen Warner? how he used to come up to you and start speaking to you, and you were just like stood there like, yeah, all right, Steve. And he used to like spit in your face, and like his bad breath used to, oh, it was just horrible. And then the only way to get rid of him was to say, oh, Duncan wants you, go and speak to him. And he'll come over, walking over to you and start speaking to you. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, all right, lads. So the song to the ox cart that we changed to the pool is, Gaz has just enlightened me, reminded me the words are a bit different. So I'm going to sing it to you again one more time. All right, here we go. Here come the poolies, oh how slow. Pulled by Debbie, the ugly fat slut. A busted back creaks as she rolls along. 'Cause of Roy, the lanky Jippo freak. And that was to the tune of the ox cart, the primary songs. And I know that we had a lot more stuff we made up to those old Nokia 3310 ringtones, didn't we? I'm gonna have to check with Gaz on that and find out more. Yes, lads, another one. We were all around the Benner's house, weren't we, watching England versus Greece in that World Cup qualifier. And when Beckham scored that amazing free kick in stoppage time to get us through to the World Cup. And then that was the great moment by itself, and we all went crazy. Now I remember, for some reason, we all just piled on Liam, didn't we? And started, playfully hitting him and punching him and everything, and just pile on. That was so funny. Sorry about that, Liam. Don't know why we did that. I think we were just all a bit crazy after that goal went in.
Hey up, chaps. Who remembers the Hubbards? Chris, who was my mate, then John Willie, who was a bit older, then Richard. Anyway, may they rest in peace. I think they're all dead. We had a sleepover at Linda Lenton's, and we were setting fire to, she took us over the park to whittle our own knives, our own spears, and then we were cooking marshmallows, setting them on fire, and then hurling them over the fences on fire, big fat ones. I don't know who remembers that. And then at the state football, where we used to have it indoors, there was a gym that we broke into somehow. We got into a gym. Poor Chris Hubbard on the treadmill. We cranked it up full power. Bang, 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 bang. Came off. Got his finger underneath the conveyor tread bit and slit all his fingers off. Can you remember that?
Lads, I just can't get over Alex Fraser. My goodness, in those priesthood opening exercises, he used to stand there at the front of the hymn, and he's holding the hymn book. Okay, it's upside down. He's holding it upside down, and he's like, "Right, brethren, today we're gonna sing number 5, High on the Mountain Top. Now, this is really enthusiastic hymn, so I want to hear your voices, brethren, and really belch it out." He used to go on with all this information, all this introduction, and then you stand there holding the hymn book upside down, and you start singing a completely different hymn to everybody else with the upside down hymn book. I remember one time, the first time we saw him do it, and Ben was absolutely wetting himself sitting next to me when I point. I think I noticed it, and I pointed out to Ben, and he started wetting himself. Do you remember that, Ben? That was so funny. And then, of course, back to Alex Fraser again. The classic that I'll never forget is in the temple, in the endowment session. You're supposed to put on some items of clothing during the session, symbolically and all that. And there's one, like a little hat you put on your head. Alex Fraser, I was on the front row and he was a couple of rows behind me. I turned around and there he was, with a bloody bag on his head. Can you believe it? It's the bag that you put the clothes in. And he couldn't find his hat, so he put his bag on his head. My goodness, I've never seen anything so ridiculously funny in my life. And because, it was in a very holy place and supposed to be quiet and reverent and everything, it just made it even more funny. I was just holding in my laughter the entire time. I tell you, that guy, what a nutter he is. Well, lads, that's it. Thank you very much for all your input and for contributing to this absolutely amazing compilation of funny moments from our youth. Hope you enjoyed that. And may the hilarious moments live long in the memory. Cheers to that.